Greetings, grade 12. After first unit, we are here to start the 10th unit, that is ecology and environment. In this unit, the first chapter, that is chapter number 13 as of your textbook, it is organisms and populations. We'll be starting with this chapter. Now, in this chapter, we are going to see how the organisms interact with each other as well as their physical environment. For example, if you take in a food chain, say for a herbivore for that matter. Now, herbivore alone cannot sustain the whole life process. It requires the plants as well as say decomposers to complete the cycle. Same if you take say for example of a lion, again lion on its own cannot survive. It requires herbivores. In fact, it requires plants as well. It requires soil, water. So there the organisms are dependent on each other. This we know very well, but as well as they are dependent on the physical environment also, the soil for that matter, water, say land, and temperature. So other things are also relevant with one organism's development or the life process. Now, in this chapter, what importantly we'll be seeing is the interactions between population of environment. So, in the environment, we are going to talk about the different populations as such and how they are interacting and how they are dependent on each other. So, this is the whole base of this chapter. Now, to start with, the first thing that you should know is what is ecology. Now, ecology is the branch of science that deals with the interrelationship amongst the organisms and their environment. Study of ecology is important to strike a balance between development and maintenance of natural environment and biotic communities. Use and conservation of resources, solve regional and global environmental problems. So, right now, see, we talk about, say, global warming or we talk about the other environmental issues, then we have to understand or we have to study the whole relationships. We say that global warming is affecting the life status on earth. Now, how can we say that? We can say that that the global warming is increasing the temperature, and then how the temperature is relevant or how the temperature is affecting the organisms on earth. So this whole study, after the study only I can comment on all these things. So the study of these things is what is ecology. So you have to highlight two factors that I talked here, that is abiotic factors and biotic factors, and both are dependent on each other. Now, ecology at different levels. In this, again, there are four sub topics, I would say. First, we are going to understand what is ecology at an organism level. When I talk about an organism, how this particular organism is interacting with, say, interdependent on the physical things or physical aspects what is there surrounding it, let it be soil, temperature, or water, or air for that matter. So how the organism is developed depending on these ecological systems, that is the abiotic systems. Now when I talk about population, I'm talking about a group of same organism. Say it's the single species or a single type of organism, but that whole group, how they are dependent. For example, say I can talk, say that humans of Yapral. Now this is a population of Yapral we can talk about, and how these population or this population requires, how much amount of water they require, that should be daily, on a daily basis we are supplying, or say what is the um, um, quality of air in Yapral that this population is going to sustain. So all these things will give you an idea what is ecology at a population. Now when I say community, I'm not talking about one organism there. I'm talking about a group of organisms. So community in Yapral can be, say, the humans which are staying, can be the plants and the various different animals like, say, dogs or cats or, say, buffaloes So all this makes the community. Now how this community is depending on the physical factors which are available there. Is the water sufficient for all these organisms? Is the air is clean enough, or say the temperature, is that factor enough for all these organisms in a community? So when I talk about community, I'm talking about different organisms in a particular area. And then the fourth one is biome. Now biome is a very wide aspect. Okay, inside biomes you have different ecosystems. Okay, so if I say ki, biome, so biome is actually a very broader aspect of seeing the ecosystem. Again, the biomes can be divided into subbiomes, and then these subbiomes can be divided into the different ecosystem. For example, if I can give you one example, say, okay, now if I can define biome, it is the large area on earth with similar climate, plants and animals. Um and for an example, one biome of say the biomes can be of aquatic, desert, forest, grassland, tundra. Now these are the types of biomes that I have explained here. You can see on the slide. Now in a forest, for example, one biome, if I take say forest. Now in a forest you'll find different types of ecosystem. You can have a pond in that. You can have your terrestrial animal as such forming an ecosystem. Okay, you'll have different types of food chain, and also biome is a very wider aspect. Again in biome you can divide it as the subbiomes, what I have done on the screen, and again in that you can have the different ecosystems. So this is what exactly is biome. Now importance of biome is that a lot of organisms can stay there, so it's a habitat for many organisms. um, Now this biome provides oxygen to the atmosphere, takes up carbon dioxide. For plants it will be just opposite or vice versa. Then it regulates the climate, say rainfall, the temperature of that. So all these things gets controlled. Now talking about environment. Okay. Now talking about environment, how organisms and the environment is related. At organism level, when I see the physiological ecology tries to understand how different organisms are adapted to their environment in terms of survival and reproduction. So in a particular ecology, when you say, the organism will have a different adaptation. For example, if say I'm talking about a desert biome, so there the kind of adaptation shown by an organism will be very different when you see it with say aquatic biome or aquatic ecology. So all these organisms will show different aspects of adaptation at different environment or ecology for that matter. And this variation, the variation in the intensity and duration of temperature, along with annual variation in precipitation, that is rain, results in formation of major biomes like desert, rainforest, and tundra. So we have discussed this, that there are different types of biomes, and in that biome, again, the organism, how the organism is adapted, how it is showing the different adaptation for the different types of environment. So that will vary from biome to biome. Regional and vocal variation within each biome leads to the formation of different kinds of habitat, like the one that we have talked about, like tropical rainforest, deciduous forest, desert, seacoast. So these are the different biomes. Now the habitat includes biotic components, for example, say pathogens, parasites, predators, um, uh, competitors for the organism. So all these are the biotic components. And then you also have abiotic components. Now on your screen you can see all the abiotic components. We are going to talk about 4 of them in detail. Now talking about these abiotic factors, first let's talk about temperature. Now, when you talk about temperature, it is a very important ecological factor to determine the biomass of a place. Now, what is biomass? Biomass is the weight of say plants and animals as together. So, biomass is the contribution of the living organism in a particular area. Okay, so the temperature plays a very important role. Like you can see that wherever you'll have a optimum temperature, the plants and animals will be more in that particular area, so you have more of the biomass there. Now, average temperature on land varies seasonally. That is the first point. Secondly, it decreases progressively from equator towards the pole. Do you agree? So, when you move from equator towards the pole, the temperature decreases. And third is it also decreases from the plains to the mountaintop. So, the temperature is again depending on three things. The one is the seasonal change, that you can see what is happening in the temperature. And then whether you are towards the equator or you are at the pole. So again, the temperature will vary, or whether you are living in a mountain or you are living in a hill, on a hill or on a mountain top. So on a plain, you have a different temperature. On a mountain top, you have a different temperature. So all these factors will depend, or there will be a variation in the temperature at the different places wherever you stay. Now, temperature affects the kinetics of enzymes and basal metabolism along with physiological functions of the organism. Say, when I talk about kinetics of enzyme and basal metabolism, means your body will respond different in different temperature. For example, say you all can feel this, that you tend to eat more during winters than compared to your summers. In summers, you don't feel to eat that much, but in winters, we kind of will be munching things here and there. You'll be having heavy food, and still you'll not feel heavy. So the metabolic metabolism of your body will vary in different temperature, or the enzymatic enzyme actions are also for that matter. So it varies. Talking about your physiological functions, again, in summers you kind of we feel tired and lethargic. So again, it will depend again on temperature. Now, there are two types of organism. One type of organism, it can tolerate a wider range of temperature, and the other is where it can tolerate only a narrow range of temperature. So the wider one we call it as eurythermal, and the narrow one we call it as stenothermal. So like humans, if you take the example of humans are eurythermal, because you talk about the higher temperature or you talk about the lower temperature, humans are seen in both the conditions. But stenothermal, say you talk about seal or polar bear. So all these you will be finding only in the lower temperature area. So when I say bring a polar bear from pole to the higher temperature area, it will not be very comfortable. So it can only sustain that narrow range of temperature. If it will be more than that, it cannot sustain. Okay, so something like that. So that is what is stenothermal. And when the organism can sustain, that becomes a eurythermal. Okay, now this is very important from board point of view. So you should know what is stenothermal and eurythermal. And the second important is stenohaline and euryhaline. This the third statement what is there on your screen, that is stenohaline and euryhaline. When I talk about haline, I'm talking about the salinity range. And salinity is the concentration of salt in the water. So first we talked about temperature. Now let's talk about how the water affects. So we all know that on earth is unsustainable without water. So we know this. Productivity and distribution of plant is heavily dependent on water. Yes, how much the plants and animals will be there in a particular area, that depends on how much water is available. Now again, some organism, they can tolerate a wider range of salinity. You call it as euryhaline, and the others which cannot, you call it as stenohaline. For example, say a freshwater fish, if I take and I keep it in, say, seawater. Now, the freshwater animals, they cannot live longer in seawater because of the high salt content what is there in the seawater. So, they'll have the osmotic problem. The organism will have the osmotic problem, and it cannot survive for that matter. So, again, you'll have the fishes which can, sustain in particular range of saline or salinity, or say salt content of the water. Similarly, you have, say, for food also, for habitat also, but for from all these five, this is only for your knowledge. These two are very important, that is stenothermal and eurythermal, and stenohaline and euryhaline. Now we talked about temperature, we talked about water. Let's move on to the third abiotic factor, that is light. Now, if I talk about light, now we all know that plants produce food through photosynthesis in the presence of light, and some plants are adapted to low light conditions because they are overshadowed by the tall canopy tree. So, if I talk about, say, a forest, The canopies are the different layers that you see in the forest. The taller one forms the first canopy, that will be the topmost layer where only the taller plant the top part will be coming. So that is your canopy, and then you'll have the next canopy of the little shorter plant. But if you talk about the shrubs or herbs or the very small plants in the forest, so they are not getting the sufficient sunlight because of all these canopy, but still they are able to do photosynthesis. So over a period of time, they have adapted in such a way that with this small range of light also, they are able to perform the photosynthesis. Now, depending on that, again, we have different types of plant. Flowering in some plants can occur, or flowering in some plants occurs only in the presence of critical daylight, and this is called as photoperiodism. On your screen, I have shown you different types of photoperiodism. Photoperiodism is when the plant is exposed to light. Now, how much duration? Like for some flowers, you have seen that they will blossom in the summers. For some flowers, you will see that they will blossom in winters. Yeah. So the flowers that blossom in winter, they are the short day plants. So they don't require the say sunlight, or period, or their photoperiodism is less than the 12 hours. Okay, so only a shorter exposure of sunlight, and then they are able to flower. If I talk about long day plant, then these flowering plants require more amount of light. So 12 hours of flowering. So this happens normally in summer. And there are some neutral day flowers which are not bothered, let it be a longer day or a shorter day. For example, your rose and all. You'll see them blossom in any season as such. So you'll have different types of flowering plant. They will flower dependent on how much intensity of sunlight are they getting. You're getting the point. So this is what is photoperiodism. The availability of light and land is closely linked to that of temperature, as the sun is the source of both the things. And UV component of sunlight is harmful to plants as well as animals. So this is what we know for light. So this is what is the effect of light on plants and animals. So that is, now talking about the last factor, that is soil. So types of soil depends on climate, weathering process or sedimentary, and how soil development occurs. Now soil composition, grain size, and aggregation, these all determine the percolation and water holding capacity. So you have this um, 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 practical in your grade 12, where you'll be talking about how the different types of, what is the texture of the soil, what is the color of the soil, what are the granule size, and what is the water holding capacity, pH. So all these mineral compositions, topography. So this all thing will determine the vegetation in that area. Depending on what kind of soil is there, the plants will be growing in that particular area. Like in your social studies, in your previous classes, you know about red soil, black soil, different types of soils, and loomy soil or sandy soil, or say yeah, so all these types of soil. So what is the type of soil, what is the texture of the soil, what is the composition of the soil, depending on that, the various plants or vegetation will happen in that area. So we have discussed four major abiotic factors. We talked about temperature, we talked about water, we talked about light, and we talked about soil. We also have seen that how the organism is dependent on the environment, and what exactly is ecology, what is biome, and how environment plays a role in all these organisms, and how organisms will adapt is what is our second phase that will be done in the next session. So with that, I'll be closing. Thank you.